last episode of Ultimate Survival, Everest. 50 climbers began their push for the summit. On Team Discovery, Andrew and Hector are headed for the top, while Shauna headed to base camp. And Ben's climb became precarious.
At some point, hopefully in the near future, I'll have to go high on the mountain and go to at least 8,000 meters, and that is a hard process for me right now because I do feel drained.
Climbers have been living on Mount Everest for over a month. They've grown accustomed to this environment. Everest is their life now, and the acclimatization process is finally complete. That means it's time to lace up the boots and go for the glory. Time to risk it all. Time to do or die in pursuit of an epic dream. To stand on the summit of the tallest mountain in the world, Everest. The climb is on. Andrew Locke and Hector Ponce de Leon, Team Discovery's 2 professional climbers, have made it to Camp 3. Tonight, they'll get as much rest as possible. Tomorrow, they'll head to Camp 4 and then the summit. After all the hard work it took to get here, you'd think this would be the most enjoyable part, but...
This is probably the night when you think most of home and where you'd rather be than up here on the mountain.
As Andrew beds down for the night, Annabelle Bond gets up. A British climber working with a team of Chileans, Annabelle is preparing to leave Camp 4. She's a day ahead of Andrew and Hector, and if all goes as planned, she'll be on the summit in 14 hours.
I was so nervous. I mean, sleep was absolutely elusive. You can't really eat much. Your stomach's just like this massive notch. You've got this huge ordeal ahead of you. So, yeah, no, I was not particularly rested, I must say.
It's hard to sleep at altitude. Harder still when you know lives are on the line. Ben Webster, leader of Team Discovery, lies awake at Camp 2, listening to radio silence, just in case. At Camp 3, another team leader is in his tent, but he's not quite as stoic as Ben. Andreas Delgado is leading 6 of his climbing friends to the summit, and they're intent on doing it without oxygen. It's cause for concern.
I'm not only worried, I'm a little afraid. We have different standards. In the group, 3 people have been at 8,000 meters before, and 3 others haven't been at that altitude ever. And, well, that worries me. First of all, for their own health, you know. And then I don't want to have any problems up there. And then myself, man, I'm really scared. Because I really want to give it a good push without oxygen. And I just hope it's not too cold, I don't get frostbite. I don't know if I'll have the strength, and I don't want to put myself in a situation where I need to be rescued or anything. I'm really afraid.
It's 5 a.m. First light has arrived, but the warming sun hasn't made it over the mountain yet. Next to Andreas' tent, Andrew and Hector wake up. This is not a get up and rush out the door type situation. There's still hours of packing and hydrating to happen.
I don't think either Hector or I got any real sleep through the night. We've got up at 5 o'clock this morning to start melting snow because it'll take us about 3 hours to be ready to leave this morning when the sun hits the tent about 8 o'clock. So we're both feeling a bit tired, little headaches, Just having our first cup of hot drink, a cup of coffee this morning. We'll have another few cups before we go, I hope.
When Andrew and Hector leave Camp 3, they're headed for the history books. To get to the summit from here, there's an accepted strategy. First, climb to Camp 4, set up in the rubble of the South Col. Before it's midnight, climbers go again. By daylight, they'll be here on what's called the balcony. If nothing's stopping them, they'll traverse the southeast ridge and on to the south summit, where fresh oxygen is waiting. Then, it's the infamous Hillary Step, where so many climbs have ended in heartbreak and tragedy. From there, it's almost all done but the bragging. On the summit ridge, climbers instinctively head for the chunk of ice that is higher than any other. When there's nowhere left to climb, they've done it. They've conquered Mount Everest. Annabelle and her team are on the balcony, not moving. A human traffic jam has stopped all the climbers cold. Every team here hoped that someone else would be up early, attaching safety lines. That didn't happen. So, with limited oxygen, in deadly temperatures, progress is at a standstill for 30 climbers.
There's no rope and we're breaking trails, so it's really, really slow. Then there's a huge jam up here. There's tons of people, and it looks like we're the only people with rope. Anyway, it's tough, it's freezing, my feet are freezing, and I don't know, it's a long way up still, so I don't know if we're gonna, given that we're breaking trail, I don't know. Who knows at this stage? Bye.
A team of Greek climbers thought they could ascend without safety lines. Now they've stopped too. Everyone waits for rope. Waiting is troubling. On May 10th, 1996, a huge crowd of people waited too long in this same area. By the time they summited, it was too late for some of them. A vicious storm blew through and killed 16 climbers.
4 times I wanted to turn back. 4 times because I was really frightened. I just thought, what am I doing? The Sherpas, I think, are phenomenal. They help you with your oxygen and they do, the ropes.
Sherpas from the Chilean team deal with the safety ropes. Everyone else stands around, conserving oxygen, waiting for the work to be done. Annabelle left Camp 3 with enough oxygen to last 18 hours. She's already used up more than half of that supply. And now she's going nowhere fast. Waiting like this is a colossal waste of time. And the clock is ticking. Annabelle has a strict curfew. At 1 p.m., no matter where she is on the mountain, she must turn around. Right now, it's 7 a.m.
It's freezing cold. I have my goggles on. I knew I had one shot. Ultimately, it's your legs that have got to get you up there. It's legs and lungs. That's the 2 things that take you to the summit.
Over 1,000 meters below Annabelle, Hector finishes bundling up his feet. Climbing above 8,000 meters is like walking on eggshells for Hector. 6 years ago, he got frostbite so bad, part of his big toe had to be amputated. By sheer coincidence, the man Hector was climbing with when that happened is camping beside him today. Andreas Delgado now climbs with Tom Masterson, a 58-year-old mountain guide from Colorado. Andreas and Tom are climbing without oxygen. Both have been to Everest before and feel that summiting with bottled gas is not challenging enough. Every climber comes here for a personal reason. Andreas is here to embrace the pain.
I want to believe, I don't know if I'll be able, but I want to believe that I'm capable of controlling that anguish that you feel, and that I'm strong enough to deal with the lack of oxygen.
Discovery 2 to Andreas, over.
Go ahead.
Are you guys still planning to all go without oxygen all the way to the summit, over?
Yeah, there's some backup plans, I would say. Each one of us is gonna have a Sherpa, and the Sherpa is gonna be carrying 2 bottles of oxygen for those who start from the South Cone without oxygen. And I am the only one who is starting without oxygen. If I don't make it without oxygen, I just turn back. Over.
Okay, sounds like you got quite the plan ahead of you.
So best of luck.
You guys have a good day climbing. Stay safe. Discovery 2 out.
Thanks, Ben.
It takes the average climber 8 hours to arrive at Camp 4. The day begins with a daunting wall of ice, a so-called heart starter. For rookies, the sight of these ruined tents might be a heart stopper. But for Hector, it's just part of the landscape. Besides, he's got his own problems to focus on.
There's a little wind, but it's not bad really. What is really bothering me right now is my feet. They are very cold. So I'm trying to warm them by moving them. And I hope now that the sun is hitting us, they'll get warm.
Pounding his feet into the ice to encourage circulation, Hector plods off to Camp 4. If he started breathing his bottled oxygen, his circulation would increase, but he can't afford to dig into a supply just yet. A full day ahead of Hector, Annabelle worries about circulation problems too. 4 months ago, she suffered frostbite in her hands. Today, she's managing well, but below the south summit, she's almost finished her first of 3 bottles of oxygen.
That frantic screaming is because I'm about to run out of oxygen, and I really don't want that to happen.
At Camp 2, people follow the progress as if the climb was a soap opera. When pertinent information comes in, team leaders inform their climbers. Ben is telling Andrew where Annabelle's team is.
And Andronico. So they're all moving from the south summit. They're on the traverse. They're just waiting for the lines to be fixed to get up through the Hillary Step. But things are looking great for the Chileans, over.
That's great news. Good for them.
Annabelle makes it to the team's oxygen stash at the tip of the south summit. She drops down to change tanks. It's sweet relief. From where she sits, Annabelle can see the summit, but it's still hours away. On Mount Everest, half a dozen climbers are leaving Camp 2, headed up the steep Lhotse face. At the back of the pack, a high school principal named Will Cross struggles like his day is finishing when, in fact, it's only just beginning. Will, a diabetic, has climbed the highest mountain on 4 of the 7 continents, and he's skied to both the North and South Poles. But Mount Everest is tougher than anything he's ever experienced. Will is headed for this desolate commune, Camp 3, altitude 7,300 meters. Not a great place to gain strength. Everybody at Mount Everest is slow, but Will is deathly slow. High above Will, Andrew uses 2 safety ropes to pull himself up the mountain. 60 years ago, the summit of Everest was as elusive as the moon. Today, with well-established routes and plenty of guidelines, over 1,200 people have made it to the top.
A lot of people say that Mount Everest is very easy. It's been climbed a lot of times. I'm one of the more experienced high-altitude mountaineers in the world. And Everest still brings me to my knees, gasping for breath. So, is it an easy mountain? I'll let you decide.
Rolling. Listo.
Hector clambers up the cruel rock face called the Geneva Spur. His former climbing partner, Andreas Delgado, is only a stone's throw away. That's unnerving for Hector. He's saved Andreas' life before on Everest, and he doesn't want to ruin this trip by having to rescue Andreas again. But he might have to. Andreas is climbing without oxygen. In Hector's mind, that turns Andreas into a ticking time bomb. Annabelle Bond has made it to the Hillary Step. Here, she must play Russian roulette with the safety lines. If she picks the wrong one, she could die.
I can't actually believe that I'm here. The snow looks really powdery, so I think it's going to be quite difficult. And I'm just trying not to get too nervous.
Annabelle is higher than any other mountaintop in the world. To her right, she has an awesome overview of the Himalayas. Straight above her, she has just 60 vertical meters to go until the summit. To her left is a deadly drop-off that plummets for more than a kilometer. She has only one choice: climb. In the last century, almost 200 people have died trying to climb Mount Everest. Annabelle Bond and the man who invited her here, 50-year-old Chilean bank owner Andronico Craig, have both made it to the summit ridge. With their teammates proudly waiting for them, Annabelle and Andronico take their last few steps to glory.
It's just such a huge thing, and when you don't think you can ever do it, but you do. I mean, the whole team were just, everyone was very emotional. It's been the most bonding thing with the team. I think that's to go through an experience like this together. We've all cried, we've all, laughed. Just being on the top there is something I'll never, ever forget. Can't believe I'm here. It's amazing. It's the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. Just such a huge thing, and when you don't think you can ever do it, but you do.
Picture taking at the summit has always been part of the ritual, part of the Mount Everest experience. The Sherpas pose with objects that mean something to them spiritually, but most of the Western climbers pose with corporate logos. Andronico gets a Sherpa to fly the flag of his bank. For many, these pictures help finance the trip.
I can't believe I'm such a crybaby. My dad's company.
8,848 meters above sea level, Annabelle Bond is on top of the world.
I think most people are in shock that I've made it. I don't think people can believe that I've actually done it, which is a nice thing. It's good to surprise people rather than to have them expect you to do it.
Annabelle is ecstatic, but she's on the most inhospitable piece of land on Earth. Getting up Mount Everest is just half the battle. She still has to get back down, alive.
It's been a really difficult climb, and I can't even bear to... I
can't even bear to think about going down. It just seems like hell.
Only 12 women are attempting to climb Mount Everest this spring. Shauna Burke is one of them. But she's not climbing. She's at base camp waiting for her turn. It's worse than frustrating. It's debilitating.
I've developed the kumbu cough, is what they call it. And what it is it's this horrible dry hack that occurs quite frequently throughout the day, and it's very, very difficult to stop it. And for me, it's tied to my stomach, so whenever I cough, everything in my tummy seizes up, and quite often whatever's in my tummy will come out. So little things like that are, I know, going to make the climb very difficult. The fact that I've been up here for a very long time and that my body is depleting, that I've got the kumbu cough, that emotionally I'm quite drained, will make the climb that much more difficult.
Shauna wants to be where Andrew and Hector are right now. Camp 4, altitude 7,900 meters. From here, the summit is within their grasp.
Ben, this is Hector. Do you copy over?
Camp 2, this is Andrew, you copy. G'day, Ben. I'm on the South Col. I arrived about 10 minutes ago with Mingma.
That's great to hear.
We'll call up again a bit later on. It's pretty blowy here on the Col at the moment, so we'll chat later, over.
Camp 4 is in what's called the death zone. At this altitude, every climber is literally dying. They can't digest food. They can't sleep. They can't get enough liquids. Human organs are breaking down. People will leave all through the night with the goal of reaching the summit tomorrow morning. For most, it's a 14-hour climb in good conditions.
Although today was a very good day, very few of the parties that came up last night actually went for the summit. They stayed here today, which means that tomorrow will be even more crowded.
Hector and Andrew have very different strategies. Andrew will climb through the night slowly and surely, while Hector will rest through the night. Tomorrow, he'll climb like a locomotive.
We'll have a group leaving roughly 10 o'clock, 4 hours from now, with Andrew taking off with Mingma, and about maybe 5-6 hours later, Hector's going to take off with Gelu.
Hector's plan is highly unusual. He wants to leave in the morning light. For most climbers, that would be suicide, because they wouldn't be able to reach the summit until just before dark. Hector, though, can climb at breakneck speed, and his Sherpa companion Lakpa Gelu is faster. He holds the world speed record for summiting Everest. Their plan has an advantage. Leaving in the morning will mean a much warmer climb.
I've always been very concerned about frostbite, and the chances that you're getting cold feet by spending, as I say, 8 hours in the dark are higher than if, let's say, I left at 4. It's only 2 hours before the sun hits me.
Andrew gets his oxygen ready. Oxygen use helps prevent two of the biggest killers on Everest, HAPE and HACE. HAPE stands for high-altitude pulmonary edema, and HACE is high-altitude cerebral edema. Edema is basically an excess of liquid in body tissues. So, in the case of cerebral edema, the brain swells, and in pulmonary edema, there is so much liquid in the lungs, they leak, and climbers can suffer the ironic effects of drowning 8 kilometers above sea level. Andrew's mountaineering goal is to summit all 14 of the world's peaks that tower over 8,000 meters. So far, he's conquered 10 of them. Oxygen is not something he takes lightly. He always makes sure the O2 in his blood is at a level he can live with.
I'm measuring my oxygen saturation in my blood. My pulse is 101. My oxygen saturation just sitting here was, well, it says 79. Once I put the oxygen on, it will change.
The sun is getting lower, and Will Cross is not getting any faster. Straining at this altitude, Will's blood sugar is higher than normal, so he must take stronger insulin shots 4 times a day. He may be slow, but Will is getting it done.
You just had to gut it out, pull, and of course you're getting more and more tired. You get higher and higher, there's less and less air, so you're kind of slumping over the lines, and it was a lot of work. You're just not there. You know, you're kind of outside yourself, moving slowly, and boy, you may want to move a lot faster. It's just not going to happen because you don't have the oxygen in your system, no gas in your tank.
Even without gas, Will makes it to his home for the night, which is at a personal altitude record for him, 7,400 meters.
Never been that high, so no, I really didn't know how I would react. I just knew it would be painful.
For sustenance, he inhales the meal of choice for most climbers at this altitude.
Heavy doses of oxygen. That's what we're having for dinner.
Annabelle makes it safely back to Camp 4. 20 hours ago, she left here with Andronica, her team's benefactor. After summiting, Annabelle descended, leaving Andronica with his guides. Since then, that whole group has lost radio contact, and by now, Andronica must be out of oxygen. For some summiters, their pride is short-lived. More people die coming down Mount Everest than going up.
You know, we're not going to push the panic button yet, but it is tense. The last confirmed sighting was above the balcony, which is a long way away from the South Col.
On Mount Everest, you climb when you have to, not when it's convenient. To begin his summit attempt, Andrew Locke prepares to set off into the frozen darkness.
It's just after 9:30 at night, and I'm about to set out for the summit from the South Col, together with Mingma and Galjan, but it's cold, and we need to get on with the job, so I'm going to throw on my oxygen mask now and start the climb from the South Col here at 8,000 meters.
There are 7 teams at Camp 4. All are headed for the summit tonight. That makes Ben nervous. He's afraid of crowds, especially in the dark.
The big concern is that absolutely everyone left at the exact same time on the push, according to Andrew, which means you have everybody and their dog at the exact same place on the mountain, which means that there's this huge cluster of people.
Angelica, yeah, congratulations. Andrew.
Oh, Andrew. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Andrew stumbles upon Andronica, who is barely alive. When he ran out of oxygen over 4 hours ago, Andronica clung to life by concentrating on his family.
A long day for you guys, huh?
Yeah.
Much to learn.
It's amazing, huh? You know?
What a fantastic job.
You climbing with me.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I feel.
How do you feel now?
Good for you.
Thank you.
You know, luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
The weather tonight is perfect. Light winds, a bright moon, minus 30 degrees Celsius. Andrew has been climbing for 6 hours. Hector is just taking off. Hector loves it here. Not this location in particular, this altitude.
It's always fascinating. For me, breaking the 8,000 meter barrier is like stepping into a different reality, into a different planet in every way you can imagine it. You're in the very, very limit of where human life is sustainable, even with oxygen. So all of this adds up for as I said, an experience that just doesn't compare to anything. It's just beautiful.
As the sun rises, Nyingma Sherpa calls Ben on the radio. Nyingma and Andrew are so close to the summit, they can taste it.
Any wind up at the south summit? Is it cold or any wind? Over.
Oh, no wind, no cold. Very, very good weather over.
Is there a lot of people around you or ahead of you? Over.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Yeah, over.
Traffic jams at this altitude can be deadly. Inactivity promotes hypothermia, poor circulation, and bad judgment. But Andrew, a two-time summiter, doesn't seem concerned.
I'm sitting on the south summit of Everest. Got here about 10 minutes ago. So it's been quite a long slog, and you can see behind me that it isn't over yet. We have to traverse across a very sharp ridge to get to the Hillary Step, which is a short rock buttress on that sharp arête that you can see in the background. And from there it's about another 100 meters of climbing to get to the true summit.
When Sir Edmund Hillary made his way up this rock face in 1953 with his Sherpa partner Tenzing Norgay, no other mountaineer could make it. Today, there's a stagnant pileup of climbers waiting on the Hillary Step. Further down the mountain, Andreas has stopped moving too. Mount Everest doesn't suffer fools gladly, and people who climb without oxygen often pay a serious price. Andreas may be in physical agony, but emotionally, this is exactly what he came for.
Everybody's got its opportunity to suffer up there. Some people need to suffer higher to understand, some people need to suffer lower. Some people are so smart they don't even have to suffer up there. That's the essence of mountaineering. You're free to do whatever you want up there.
Behind Andreas, the team he is supposed to be leading walks on by. Everyone except Tom has sucked in their pride and is now breathing bottled oxygen. Andreas refuses to compromise. This married father is determined to risk his life. But here comes his safety net. Even though Hector left camp 6 hours behind Andreas, he's caught up with him. Hector wants to blow by his old friend without a second thought, but he's not that kind of climber. He slows down to monitor Andreas' health, knowing that he has a habit of pushing himself to the brink of death. Hector has passed Andreas and doesn't plan on looking back. If you're wondering who's videotaping, it's Lakpa Gelu, Hector's Sherpa climbing partner. This is historic footage. Documenting the full route up Everest has never been done before.
We are at the South Ridge, below the South Summit. This is the steepest part of the whole climb. Once we reach the South Summit, we're just gonna have the traverse to the Hillary Step left. I'm still feeling good, and I hope it stays like that.
Hector is climbing like a man on fire, but it doesn't look like he's going to make it to the summit alongside his teammate, Andrew Locke. Andrew is at the top of this line, about to step onto the summit ridge.
I've just climbed out of the Hillary Step, which was the last technical difficulty before the summit. From here on, it's pretty much a snowplod for 45 minutes or so. All around me, the mountains that previously towered over us when we were in base camp and in the lower camps, now have dropped well below us. There's nothing higher than us in the world, only the summit of this mountain, and that's where we're headed.
Along the summit ridge of Mount Everest is the red carpet of mountaineering. From here, it's a prestigious, emotional quarter-kilometer-long trek to the pinnacle of all mountains. Not far behind Andrew is Mingma Sherpa, on his way to becoming part of a very exclusive club. If Mingma makes it, this will be his 10th Everest summit.
Well, we've done it, team. We're on top. It's a very nice view from up here.
Great job, buddy. Great job. Congratulations. How are you feeling, over?
I'm tired. A little bit emotional, actually. I didn't ever think I'd be coming back up here again. It was quite a slog. I think we're all absolutely trashed, to tell the truth, but God, it is an absolutely fantastic feeling.
Oh, that's just wonderful to hear, Andrew. And you guys deserve a view like that after the work you guys put in.
It's really crowded up here. It's such a fantastic day that I think we've got the company of about 20 other people. But it's a big summit. There's room for everybody, over.
For people who get here, Everest becomes a milestone. Life will be remembered two ways: before Mount Everest and after it. Geljan Sherpa, the man breathing fresh air, is enjoying his first summit. For him, this is a pivotal moment in his climbing career. For Andrew, his third summit is a chance to revel in his true element. Climbing like a rocket, Hector arrives at the Hillary Step. If Andrew lingers on the summit, Hector might make it in time to share the moment with his teammate.
This was the key passage for the summit back in 1953 for Hillary and Tenzing. He described it as a very, very technical climb back then. Nowadays, there is a lot of old ropes. So actually the only danger is picking the picking the wrong rope and that rope breaking.
So many old rope, right?
Yeah. So anyway, this yellow rope here seems to be the newest one. So I'm betting on this one. Okay.
Climbing Mount Everest without oxygen, Andreas Delgado is courting disaster. On the southeast ridge, he's so exhausted he needs to rest after every single step. Hector Ponce de Leon, on the other hand, is healthy and happy, just a few steps away from his third successful trip to the summit of the world's tallest mountain. Hector got from Camp 4 to here in a blistering 6 hours.
Yeah. Summit.
Lakpa Gelu joins Hector at the top. This is Lakpa's 11th summit.
This is Discovery 2. Go ahead, Hector. Super. Give my congratulations to Gelu, Songba, and I heard you're up there with the other members of the Discovery team. Great job. Give them my congratulations.
Hector and Andrew share a sublime moment on the summit. This is a time to feel proud, count blessings, and give thanks.
I'm very happy. 2 Sherpas I climbed with Lakpa and Songba are the best. Thank you Lakpa, thank you Songba. And thank Discovery, okay, for this opportunity to climb the summit of Everest again. It's been great. Thank you everyone.
On the next episode of Ultimate Survival, Everest, Will Cross goes for the summit. The Discovery team performs a daring rescue. And when they finally go for the summit,
all right, here's the situation.
Ben decides that Shauna will have to climb alone.
Give me 1 minute.